First practice in Budapest ahead of the final Grand Prix before the season's summer break. Lewis Hamilton is of the opinion that he could have won the last 2 rounds prior to Budapest. Consequently, the 7-time champ is pretty confident about the team's chances this weekend. And of the 2 Scuderia men, he'd be the one to put your money on, having tasted the victor's champagne here 8 times, double the number of his nearest rival, Michael Schumacher. However, he wasn't totally happy during the first hour of practice.
Something's wrong with the upshifts, downshifts, the downgraded upshifts, downshifts all the time. Understood.
Teammate Charles Leclerc is no slouch around the Hungaroring either. He secured his most recent pole position here 12 months ago. However, the Monegasque man had an issue late in the session.
Something broke.
Copy box.
Why are so many teams struggling with this circuit? Well, this circuit's a bit of an outlier in terms of all of the tracks through the season. It's a very low average speed, but it's also very hot typically. This circuit does put a lot of systems like gearboxes under pressure.
Despite his problems, he'd already laid down the fastest lap in FP1, clocked at 1:19.075. Hamilton was P3. Max Verstappen finished between the 2 Scarlet cars, but almost half a second back from the leader. The 4-time champ had a scare early doors on the run down to turn 12, a slower Carlos Sainz on the racing line.
Unbelievable, these guys. That was actually really dangerous, like he even slammed on the brakes.
Although noted by the stewards, the Spaniard could perhaps be forgiven, as apparently his radio cable had become disconnected during his prep lap. George Russell had a big lock-up at turn 1. The British driver has suggested that he and Mercedes have got to the bottom of his much-discussed power problems in Spa, blaming it on a software bug causing power unit issues. He was P5 this time out. Audi were once again best of the rest. Gabriel Bortoleto, P6, 2 places better than teammate Nico Hülkenberg. The German's still yet to score this season, despite some impressive performances. Lando Norris went a little wayward through turn 11.
So he just dragged off a little wide and then straddled the raised part. The curb then drops away, so you're now just surfing on the top of it and damaging all of the floor area there.
The defending champion performed well in Spa and probably could have secured a podium were it not for a 10-place grid penalty for exceeding his allocation of new parts. The Briton, who won here 12 months ago, has an updated floor and a few other new aerodynamic parts this weekend, including a rotating rear wing. Upgrades have been a long time coming for Aston Martin. Unlike many of their rivals, they haven't drip-fed their drivers with incremental upgrades across the first 10 races. Instead, they targeted the Hungarian Grand Prix as the place to make sweeping changes to their chassis. Both Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll took to the track in the new spec, but halfway through the session, the Canadian driver suffered a suspension failure.
And he's done well actually to sort of overcorrect it the other way rather than purely be pitched in on the left-hand side. So just purely accelerating, putting load through the tyres, just loads of drive going on the rear axle, up through a couple of gears and crunch, something's gone.
This being virtually a brand new car, teething troubles are expected, and spare parts could be limited for a while. But with Honda set to bring a massive engine upgrade to Zandvoort immediately after the summer break, this should be a reset for the underperforming Silverstone-based team. Alonso finished the session P13, running the hard compound much higher than the 2-time champ has been used to this season. Alex Albon suffered a huge lock-up at turn 1. The Thai driver marks another milestone this weekend, providing he starts Sunday's race. It will be his 100th Grand Prix for Williams. Teammate Sainz flat-spotted a whole set of tyres on the run down to turn 1. Earlier, he'd been thwarted on a fast lap by an Alpine, but not one driven by a regular incumbent. No fewer than 5 teams ran rookies in FP1. Regulations dictate that every full-time F1 driver must make way for a junior on at least 2 occasions across the season. Oscar Piastri stood aside for Leonardo Fornaroli, the 2025 F2 champion, part of the McLaren driver development program, making his 2nd appearance of the season. Mercedes reserve Fred Vesti took control of the current Drivers' Championship leader's car, Kimi Antonelli, taking well-earned rest, watching on from the pit wall. Having been loaned out to Audi previously, Paul Aron got a go in one of his host team's Alpines, Franco Colapinto having the hour off. The experienced Ryo Hirakawa was given Ollie Behrman's Haas, and Cadillac test driver Colton Herta took 10-time Grand Prix winner Valtteri Bottas's car. Herta suffered a lock-up at turn 1, Aron lost the rear going through the 6-7 chicane, and later had to make a series of corrections exiting turn 14. Fornaroli got very twitchy going through the final turns, but managed to keep Oscar's car going in the right direction and later locked up at turn 1. Vesti took the rookie honours. Understandable, considering he was in the championship leading car. A fine P7 at the flag. So it finished. Charles Leclerc topped from Verstappen, Hamilton, Hadjar, Russell, Bortoleto, Vesti and Hulkenberg. The Racing Bulls pair of Lundblad and Lawson completing the top 10. P11 for Norris, and he was ahead of Ocon, Alonso, Gasly, Albon, Fornaroli, Hirakawa, Perez, Aaron, Herta, Stroll and Sainz.